Hey, welcome back, everyone. I have a special guest on. We've been kind of missing each other quite a bit. He's super busy, so I'm super excited for this. But I have Mathew Pezon on from Allentown, Pennsylvania. So this is also another market that I've kind of been looking into as far as if I want to start investing there. But he was on a podcast with my friend Joel Farrell, and he just happened to be talking about Allentown, and I was like, oh, I gotta get this guy on my channel. So welcome, Matthew.
Mark, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I'm super excited for this. I mean, we chatted a little bit off camera yesterday, and I got a little bit of your backstory. But why don't you fill my audience in about kind of how you got started, what your portfolio looks like, and what you're doing right now?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Thanks again for the opportunity to be here. So, I started my career after graduating from college. Many take the college path, and I graduated in 2010 as a chemical engineer. I'm from four generations of engineers in my family. So, it was what I wanted to do at the time. But I'll tell you why I shifted in a moment. So, graduated from engineering school and got a job for a large chemical company in 2010, and that was when the job market was difficult. There weren't many jobs. I had $50,000 of debt from student loans and other things, so I had less than nothing, and I needed to pay back my debts. So I got a job with the chemicals company, and the first role, the jobs were not available really at that time, and I got put into an IT role, and there were no processes, procedures, no work instructions. We were building servers, shipping them out. I had a chemical engineering degree. This was an IT role, and I wasn't very good at it. And my boss told me I was the worst employee he ever had, and the company should fire me. And that was it made me very fearful. How was I going to pay back this debt, these loans? What if they fire me? And that planted a seed for me about not wanting to rely on one customer, one employer for my financial future. And I also had high ambitions. I wanted to create something, do something big. I thought that meant moving up the corporate ladder, but that first job taught me that one person's opinion can make or break your career, and I just didn't want that type of risk. So I spent the next 3 years working for that same company, just in another role. It was a career development program. And then I went to business school because I wanted to learn about business and about finance and ways that I could grow my wealth. And I did a Fulbright scholarship in Madrid, Spain, and that's where I learned all about entrepreneurship. I had never considered being an entrepreneur. No one I knew was an entrepreneur, um, and I found entrepreneurship that way. And I knew that once I got back to the United States, I wanted to buy houses, and I found actually buying real estate overseas. So that's a little bit how I got turned on to real estate. It was through not doing well at my job.
Well, I think a lot of people come across that there's some kind of turning point in their life that puts them down a different path. And definitely that happened for me. I love the firehouse. However, under certain circumstances, my views on life change and like you said, riskiness of having one stream of income. So, my journey maybe started around 2020 is, start purchasing out of state rental properties. When was your first purchase?
It was in 2014. So I've
Ah,
been at this approaching 10 years, and I spent a year or two before that really educating myself prior to buying, which I'm sure we'll get into, but education was huge for me to prevent mistakes.
oh, I was gonna just so it's been all easy, just 2014. It's been super smooth and no
Yep,
problems, and we're done
no
here.
problems.
Oh,
Yeah, we can end the podcast now.
oh yeah, yeah. If it did, then everyone would be doing it, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, why don't we go touch on, I mean, maybe Allentown. So how is this, have you already grown up here in this market, or is this a new market for you?
That's right. So I am from the Lehigh Valley area originally in Pennsylvania. For those who don't know, Allentown is about an hour and 10 minutes or so north of Philadelphia, about an hour and a half west of New York City. We border New Jersey. It's very close. So I'm from this area, and I've traveled to actually 35 countries. So I'm pretty well traveled, and I've lived internationally for about 3 years. But I've always seemed to there's this gravitational pull that brings me back. So I I've been buying houses in this area and living in this area for the majority of my life, and I'm happy to be here. It's a great market to invest in rental properties.
So when you say great market, would you say it is a cash flow market, appreciation market? I mean, how would you describe it?
It's both. So it's been cash flow because the rents relative to the purchase prices has historically been quite advantageous to the investor, but we've experienced as a lot of people have left New York, New Jersey, some of these urban areas with more difficult challenges, and people have left seeking affordability. They've come into the Lehigh Valley area seeking a better way of life, better quality of life, and that's driven up appreciation. So for many years, it's been both, and that's why I like the market so much.
So when you first started back in 2014 to now, where would you say maybe if you kind of the median price point, like where has it, how much has it increased possibly?
Back then, for a single family home in Allentown in 2014, it was approximately 140, $150,000. Today, it's around 250, 270.
Wow. Okay.
So almost
So you,
doubled in that time.
so your portfolio consists of just single family homes?
Predominantly single family homes, but I also have many small multifamily properties, 2 units, 3 units, 4 units, 10 units, stuff like that. But mostly single family homes at this time.
Oh, okay. So kind of let's go back and kind of maybe touch on maybe your first purchase. Like how did that go? I mean, was there a lot of things you would have done differently now? So let's touch on that a little bit.
Sure, absolutely. So I got educated for a year prior to considering real estate. So I learned about business. I learned about finance. I learned about cash flow. I learned about marketing, all these different things, which isn't a requirement, but it helped. And then when in 2014, when I got back to the US, I got involved with AREA and some local meetups. And then I found a group of folks in my area who went around to different properties on the weekends and evaluated deals. So every Saturday for years, I would go to at least 8 homes every Saturday morning from 9 to noon. And then we would debrief after that tour and we would all do the calculations together and figure out, is it a good investment? Is it a not good investment, and why? And that repetition and the constant review and actually going to see the properties, not just sitting behind a computer, but actually going with other experienced investors and then running all the numbers. And they were also operators. They knew contractors, they knew lenders, they knew title companies, they knew insurance companies. That experience for me was what helped catapult me as an investor, because I found others in my market who were doing what I wanted to do, who would be willing to educate me. And I was getting into the field, seeing the properties, not sitting behind my computer. So that's what helped me learn. And that basically sole experience and the mentorship from the other investors for the first couple of years is what helped me become a success.
I think you're taking a jab at me as far as taking, seeing the properties and being there and not sitting behind a computer. But like we kind of talked about, I haven't been to Pennsylvania yet, or the Pittsburgh market. So, like you're saying, I definitely was sitting behind a computer evaluating properties, and I can see how being there can make a big difference, and that's super important. And definitely, if I was starting over, I would probably make it a bigger critical factor as far as trying to actually visit that area before I started investing. So I don't advise people to follow the path that I've done, but maybe use my mistakes to do better. And that's why I love having people like you on my channel. And everyone has a different journey. So that first property that you did purchase, do you still have it?
And I should clarify, not taking a jab by any means. I
No,
just
no,
know
I don't.
that some of the newer investors I talk to these days, they, oh, what do you think of this deal, this deal, this deal? And you ask them how many now, and it could be, you don't have to go see the properties necessarily in the market, because I buy a lot of properties these days through my team that I don't see either. So it's not about going all the time, but just getting the field experience, the life experience. It's okay to buy properties virtually and remotely. So definitely not a jab, but I can only speak to how I learned.
Oh, I'm all about jabs, as Joe would tell you. You know, it's just we're just having fun here, and I love hearing everyone's story. And so, hopefully, you don't take anything personally if I do say anything. But yeah,
Not at
this is
all.
all for fun. But yeah, so that first property, do you still have it?
I sold it a few years ago.
Okay.
I sold it, I think, late 2020. So I had it for 6 years.
So we kind of touched on it off camera, but are you like in the fix and flip business, short term rental, or do you do burr projects? Like, what is your strategy?
It's pretty much all buy and hold and burr. So, which has been a little tricky recently as rates have gone up. But up until 18 months ago, that's really what I was doing mostly in the single and small multifamily space. Now that rates have gone up, there's a lot more equity trapped in these single families that I can't get out. So I've been selling them to owner occupants and buying larger multifamily properties. This year I bought a 12 unit and three 10 units, but I still buy single family, small multifamilies as well if the deal makes sense. So, but basically buy and hold. That's all I do. I don't really flip. I might do 2 or 3 flips a year if it presents itself. I don't wholesale. I'm just a long-term rental property operator.
And do you self manage all these properties yourself?
No, I work with three third-party property management companies that are through brokerages. Um, I self-managed 10 or so units, kept getting calls at 8 p.m. on Saturday nights. So I'm trying to watch a movie with my wife or whatever. And it wasn't for me.
Okay. But you did try it and you kind of got a feel for it to see if it was for you, though, right?
Well, that's right. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe someday I hire a team, and I still won't get those calls. But for the last, 9, 10 years, I've only worked through third-party managers.
Yeah. So that's what's very, I like about real estate. There's so many different ways to do it, right? Like some people want it, they have to self manage. Some people tried it, didn't like it. Like you're talking about, doing burr projects, their short term rentals, fix and flip. But, you touched on it a little bit, right? You do burr projects. The rates have changed. So your strategy is changing a little bit with the market. So
That's
it's
right.
not like, stocks typically where you're trying to buy low, sell high. Real estate, you have a lot of different ways to make money, and you're just adapting to whatever the market's throwing at you at the time.
Well, that's right. We can't control the market. We can't control interest rates, but we can control how we respond and our preparation. So that's what we've done this year.
Okay, so we kind of touched on it off camera too. So from the beginning of your journey to now, I mean, do you have a lot of systems in place? I mean, how have you grown since then?
Right. So in the beginning, it was just me. I was a solopreneur, one man show. I was answering all the calls. And of course, I was working full time I double hatted for almost 9 years. So I was taking vacation days to go to the properties myself and taking lunch breaks to call sellers and call sellers back. And it was a lot. And I was double hatting because I wanted that good W-2 income to get those refinances for the burrs. But today, I have a team of 10, including me, and we use Salesforce for our CRM. We use call software. We have different vendors for our SEO efforts, our Google Ads. We do direct mail through a service. Um, we have a lot of systems and processes. We have policies, procedures, and for a lot of entrepreneurs, those are dirty words. They're not fun. They don't sound like this idea of entrepreneurship where everyone's just gonna, charge and go out there and take over the world and buy, 100 properties. And I don't need any procedures. That's boring. And I quickly realized to scale a team and grow a business, I needed to tell people what to do and I needed to train them and give them support and processes that they can follow so there's not chaos. So it went from a one man show to a team. And so I had to transition from a doer to a manager to a leader.
You touched on it a little bit. So you were working, you said full time for 9 years. I mean, was this when you were 15? Because you look very young, and I don't know if you touched on it. How old are you?
I'm 36.
36. Okay, so you wasn't 15 when you started working full time, but so your journey started at a pretty young age. So like where
That's
does
right.
this go for you?
I was 27 at the time when I bought my
Oh
first house, or
man.
maybe 26.
I
I'd
can't
have to
even
do the
remember
math,
that
but
age already. But so where does this go for you? Like you are you looking at getting, hundreds and hundreds of doors, or what's the end goal for you?
well, the end goal is the is playing the game itself. I mean, I don't want to stop. I really like what I do. I like renovating the community that I live in and making the housing stock better here so that people can have a better quality of life. And there's a lot of aged housing stock, and so making it beautiful again is something that is important to me. I'm from here, and so I don't see myself. There's not an end game. Like an end implies there's a stop, and I don't want to stop because I love what I do. So I don't have a goal to say, well, I need 1,000 units or 2,000 or hundreds or whatever of units. It's just I just want to improve my community, help people have a better place to live that they want, that they're happy, healthy, everything's working, and whatever the unit count is, it is. But I just want to make an impact, and I don't want to stop.
What about are you thinking of like a coaching program or like helping other investors invest in Allentown?
I've thought of that. I don't have anything right now, but certainly there's been a lot of knowledge I've accumulated that I'd like to pass down and help others to use and deploy so the community can just improve. But I don't have any services right now.
Well, I think a lot of people are going to be reaching out to you because I already have a lot of people that invest in Pittsburgh with me and have
Great.
been very interested in Allentown. And I know a few people already investing there, and they have a lot of positive things to say about that market. And we kind of joked about it off camera too. So, in your opinion, Pennsylvania or maybe Pittsburgh, is it Midwest or Northeast?
I think it depends where you are in the state because different people will say different things, but there's a couple of differences somewhere, and I don't know exactly where. Maybe it's around Harrisburg, but you start going west of Harrisburg and they start saying pop and they start saying other things. There's some blurry line where you go from an Eagles fan to a Steelers fan, and somewhere wherever that is, that's for me where it goes Midwest. Wherever that blurry line going through the middle of the state is. I'm personally 4 miles from New Jersey right now, so it's a little bit more of that Philly, New York, New Jersey influence. But as you get out to Pittsburgh, it's much more Midwest. I don't really look at that as the Northeast.
And I also want to clarify because I was confused. So people that invest in Pittsburgh, there is an Allentown in
Yeah,
Pittsburgh
I didn't
also.
know that.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked I was like, I was so confused when someone else was talking about Allentown. I thought it was like 20 minutes away from where I was investing in Pittsburgh.
It probably is, but there's
Yeah.
also a whole city.
Yeah.
It's the third largest city after Pittsburgh. It's Allentown, third largest city in Pennsylvania. So,
Ah, okay.
yeah.
So anyone that wants to get started today, that they're thinking about jumping into real estate, I mean, what advice would you give them? Like, where could they start?
Yeah, the first three things to do. Number one, get really educated because it's not a liquid investment, meaning that once you're in, and it takes, 45, 60, 90 days to get out of it. It's not like the stock. So once you commit, you're married to it, at least for a certain amount of time. So everything that happens there is your problem. So make sure you're educated. That's number one. So you don't make mistakes. I've made all the mistakes in the book, and trust me, they're not fun. So do yourself a favor. Don't make the mistakes. Get educated. Number two, start working on your mentality. You have to think like a business owner. It's not a mom and pop rental business that you're going to run. You're going to run a business. When customers check out at the grocery store, they're expected to pay on time, and they expect a certain level of quality that you provide. The food can't be bad, but they pay you. So when you are a business owner, you have to provide a service, but you also have to get paid and you have to enforce your contracts. So you have to think like a business owner, not like an individual, because it's a business and you're putting a personal guarantee on these loans, and your life will blow up if you go into foreclosure. So do yourself a favor, enforce your contracts. It's a business. And then number three, work on your credit, your savings, your personal budget, because your personal budget and credit situation will reflect the type of business, generally, not always, but will reflect the type of business that you'll run. So if you're not running a profitable personal situation where you're making more than you're spending, you will tend not to operate a profitable business where you have more income coming in than expenses going out. So get your mindset right, get educated, get your mindset right, and focus on your credit and your savings and your ability to manage cash. And only after you do those things will you be a successful investor. And then I'd say number four would be make sure you understand what type of investing you want to do. Do you want to do single family properties, multifamily properties? Are you going to manage? Are you going to get a third party manager? Do you want to do short term or medium term rentals or commercial deals? What do you want, right? What's your goal? And be clear on your goals and your vision. So those four things.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, the hardest part I see is that, good and bad, like we talked about real estate, you have so many different ways to do it and make money and be successful. But that also prevents a lot of people from getting started sometimes because there is so many ways to do it, and they get caught up in, oh, I want to try this one, I want to try this strategy, and I want to try this, and then now they're just spread out everywhere and they're not really focusing on one way to do it. And I think
Right.
that's, they said, it's a double-edged sword, right? It's so beneficial to real estate to have those options, but I think it also prevents a lot of people from getting started. So I think that's great advice. Like you saying, pick what you want, decide what your strategy is going to be. And you can always pivot later if it doesn't
Yeah.
work for you,
Yeah.
but you got to find one, right? And I think that's the other thing too with markets, right? Like finding what market suits you. And you grew up in Allentown, that's your hometown. So that market works for you. Are you looking to expand into other markets or?
Well, and that's a really great point. And I would just like to piggyback onto what you said about the market. So other things to consider after you know what type of property you want to buy, where do you want to buy it? The numbers have to make sense. And then who's your team? And only after that, consider the property. You could have a really good deal on paper, but it's in a dying market and you hire the wrong property manager and now you're losing a lot of money. So you need to be in alignment with your goals, your philosophy. You need a good market where the numbers make sense for your investment. And then you need a great team. The team is key. And then after that, it's the property. So people want to start with the property. It happens all the time. Oh, I found this good deal. It's over here. And they don't even look at, was the population increasing or decreasing there? Is there only one employer or is it a diverse economy? So the property is very far down the list. That's just, that's only the vehicle. I mean, there's so much you have to do prior to picking the property. So,
So, let's touch on that real quick before you wrap up. Allentown, like, how
mhm.
would you describe it? Like, what is maybe so makes it so attractive to you?
Right. So Allentown, Pennsylvania is number one. It's a growing city. It's close to all of the major hubs, New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia. It has a diverse economy. Within 1 day's drive for logistics and trucking, you can access something like 60% of the U.S. population. It's unbelievable. I forget if that's the exact stat, but it's a massive amount of people, and it's a diverse economy, growing area. People are fleeing some of the high cost, burdensome cost of living states, low quality of life to come to a better place, and so people are moving in. It's affordable. There are jobs. There's and there's a lot. There's agriculture. There's manufacturing. There's logistics. There's research and development, many universities and education, proximity to other population centers. There's just so many. Healthcare is huge. There's retirement in the area is huge. Like if you look up U.S. News and World Reports, the top six retirement destinations in the United States are within 45 minutes from Allentown. It's unbelievable.
It's
So
funny.
there's
Yeah.
it's I didn't know that. I saw that the other day. I was like, wow,
Yeah, I just sent that to like a couple of my other friends that invest in Pittsburgh, and I told them that I was going to be interviewing you. So I said, "Look, Allentown, right?" So
yeah, it's unbelievable the amount of economic activity. I mean, the Lehigh Valley, just the two counties in this area, it's bigger than three. The economy is of three U.S. States, three entire states. So it's and that's just a part of that doesn't even include Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. I mean, the area is really growing. It has a diverse economy, and I mean, it's you can't. The other thing is that the housing prices
mm,
are very far below the replacement cost. So you can't build these homes. There's by default a limited supply, and it's decreasing because the properties are aging out. Certain owners don't repair them. The houses fall into disrepair. So you have more and more people coming in, more and more jobs coming in, but you can't make the houses. You can't build the houses because the builders would take a loss because they're worth less than what it costs to build them. So there's a floor to what the pricing is here because builders can't build and people are coming in, prices go up. So there's built-in appreciation. And that's why I love the area. I mean, there's other reasons, but those just are the first 10 that come to mind.
it to me, it sounds like you're not going to be looking for a new market. You are happy right where you are,
That's
and you're
right.
doing very well. And you have just named, like you said, you just named, like 10 things on why you love the Allentown market. So that's great. And maybe I'll post this video after I start investing in Allentown and get a little leg up on some people. And then I'll post this video so they can find out what a great market it is. But
Well, I mean, there's definitely no secrets. I mean, the word is definitely out on the area to an extent, but it's it's still, even up until 3 4 years ago, there was an article, I think it was in the Wall Street Journal, about Allentown being one of the most undervalued markets in the U.S. And I think people have realized that, but there's still a lot of potential here. And I would encourage anyone to give it a look. It's a great market.
I'm going to stop this because we're talking too much, saying too many good things about Allentown. So, yeah, I don't want to get too many people calling you up and trying to move in on your territory. But I definitely think we're going to be in touch. I'm very interested in that market, and like you touched that you haven't started a coaching program yet or anything, but where can people find you or reach out to you if they had questions about Allentown or just investing in general?
Sure. They can find me at my website, pezonproperties.com. And we have a form there they can fill out. I'm happy to chat with anyone. Just mention this podcast in the form, and I'm happy to set up a call.
Yeah, just realize that you are very busy, and my bad if you had twins just recently, or you're
Oh,
expecting
yeah.
twins.
No, we had them 2 months
Okay,
ago.
okay,
My wife, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot going on personally as well. So
yeah,
we have
yeah,
three under three.
yeah, and
Yeah.
we joked about it too. I mean, you haven't done the Elf on the Shelf yet, so there's a lot coming your way. But yeah, I just finished up figuring out what I was gonna do for my elf this morning.
Okay. Planning all the
But
locations, like which days it's
yeah,
going to.
yeah, but
Yeah.
the trick is social media now has tons. You can go on there, copy, paste, and figure it out. But it still work. You still got to remember to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Chat GPT is not coming to your house to move the
Yeah.
elf. So
Well, this has been fun, Matthew. I love it. We'll definitely be in touch. And I think my audience is going to enjoy this. And like I said, there's a lot of people that I network with that's going to probably reach out to you and pick your brain and on Allentown and whatnot. But yeah, we'll definitely do this again, man.
awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Mark. I appreciate it.
No, thank you, man. We'll do it again. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Happy
Cheers.
holidays. Bye.
Happy holidays. Bye.